Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. Haruki Murakami. What Remains of Edith Finch is a game that I'd heard about so long ago that I'd almost forgotten it existed. But, blessed be the Steam Winter Sale, because I finally played it. Unfortunately, many other games I bought over the years are still yet to be played. It's the next on my list, I promise. I'm not just going to load up Titanfall 2 again, I swear. Holy shit, did you see that? I'm so fucking good at this game. I haven't played this game in 5 years and I'm still better than all of you. You guys actually suck so fucking hard. Oh, what was I talking about? Oh, that's right. What Remains of Edith Finch feels more like an interactive story than a video game. It's a story that has already happened that we are experiencing for the very first time, but the events have long since passed. In fact, the entire game's narrative focus is centered around this shared history of the Finch family, one that we can trace back to over 100 years ago. For the most part, we play as Edith, the last member of the Finch family, still alive and visiting the old family house. Inside, you learn about the old family members and how they died, and this supposed family curse that followed Odin Finch all the way to America. A curse that plagues each generation of the Finch family, killing almost all siblings in tragic ways, leaving only one alive to continue the lineage. Now, my limited memory of this game from over 8 years ago knew that there was some mysterious curse in the game, and because of my love for horror, I thought this game would be a supernatural mystery uncovered by Edith, finding the evil curse that has torn her family and her ancestry apart and vanquishing it. But I was pleasantly surprised when I played this game, for this was not a game about mysteries, an old family curse, but about tragedy and the way a family learns to grieve. This is What Remains of Edith Finch. The game begins with somebody on a boat, holding a book titled Edith Finch. And when the book is opened, we see Edith's writing as she tries to begin explaining her family. She's already crossed out the beginning sentence twice, something that I heavily relate to when I write these scripts. But eventually, she finds her way, or rather accepts that her family is strange, and that some of this simply won't make much sense to someone who hasn't lived in the world that she has. The game transitions from the boat to the woods, using the words on the page to gently guide us somewhere new. And from here we find ourselves looking out towards the Finch family house. The house is in a pretty isolated part of the woods, next to the coast, and looks like Picasso had advised an architect on the floor plan. It starts off normal, but especially looking at it from far away, the rooms branch off from the main building and look more and more unsturdy. These new extensions to the house, we found out later, are added for new family members, and the old rooms are not repurposed, but rather immortalized as if a museum of memories of the family members that have already passed. Similar to the family tree Edith is adding to on her exploration, the rooms in the house are these people's places in the family, and anyone new is simply added on top. In fact, this immortalization of these peoples goes one step further as Edith's mother, Dawn, actually seals up each room, cementing their place not only in memory, but in the physical world. The only way to see these rooms is a peephole in each of the doors, a small glimpse into the person's room and who they truly were. This already gives an impression to the way this family treats death. Nothing, as long as the family can help it, is forgotten. The people and who they were remain constant and in the house, no matter how long they have been dead for. Usually family lineages are told through word of mouth or old photographs, or now even DNA testing. But this house is on another level of remembering the past. Each door in the first floors of the house, and then each memorial for the newer generations of the family, also commemorate the years that person lived through, almost like a history book or museum plaque. The rooms themselves feel like echoes of the past, untouched by anybody for a very long time. Until we do. Filled with curiosity and a responsibility as the last member of the Finch family, Edith seeks out these stories and the final remains of her family. Traversing the house feels like an elaborate escape room, with each bedroom leading into the next. But inside, you find some kind of memorabilia related to that person. From a final diary entry, to a comic book, to a divorce contract, these all give Edith more information. These items feel heavy before we even read them, as none of them are going to be a happy ending. Like at the beginning of the game, each story blends from reality to memory through words on the page, and we experience the final moments of these characters. Now I say memory in heavy quotation marks, as not all of these stories are exactly based in reality. A lot of them have a fantastical nature to them that sort of avoids the truth of their death. This further proves the difficulty this family has at facing death. These stories have unreliable narrators, and while us as the players know that they are dead, the recollections come across as half-truths. For example, Molly's diary tells us that she woke up so hungry one night, and when not satisfied with a tube of toothpaste, gerbil food, and some berries, she began to transform into an array of hungry animals. First a cat hunting a bird, then an owl hunting a rabbit, a shark hunting seals, and then a monster hunting people. This monster grows hungrier and hungrier, devouring anybody it can find until there's nobody left. But the monster is still hungry. Travelling through the plumbing, it finds itself in a bathroom leading into a bedroom. A very familiar bedroom. We're back in Molly's room, and we slither under her bed. Molly then wakes up, back in bed, believing that the monster is still here, just waiting for her to fall asleep. The diary ends, as this is Molly's last day alive. It's a great story that leans more towards the outlandish nature of a family curse, when in reality, it's a lot more simple. Molly misbehaved and was sent to her bed without dinner, which was why she was so hungry, and she resorted to berries on a piece of holly by her window, something that is very toxic to people, and then she died in her bed, still hungry. The amount of guilt that her mother Edie must have felt, especially after reading her diary, knowing that she was the one who sent her to bed hungry. It almost makes sense that she's the one so adamant in believing the family curse after experiencing this death, the first of her children to die. And there are so many others that allude to this distortion of reality. Barbara is devoured by monsters in a horror-themed comic book, when in reality, it was most likely her boyfriend. Calvin releases himself from his swing believing he is flying when he in fact launches himself into the ocean. Gregory dies of drowning, and yet the recollection shows a frog deep underwater swimming into the light. A lot of these deaths dodge what really happened, not to lessen the hurt, but to lessen the guilt. Like Molly, these deaths that are strange in nature and memories are not entirely the children's fault. Barbara had plans to leave the house that night, but her father had fallen on his saw blade and had to go to the hospital, leaving her to stay home babysitting. Perhaps if she had left the home, she might have lived. Gregory drowned in the bathtub, clearly due to parental neglect, as both Sam and Kay are heard arguing during his death, leaving him alone in the water. And with Calvin, I mean, come on, who decided to build a swing aimed towards a cliffside? That death was bound to happen. The other deaths, Sam, Walter, Edie, and Dawn, all have memories based in reality. Edie dies off screen. Walter is hit by a train after bunkering alone for 30 years. Sam gets too reckless with a deer whilst hunting and gets knocked off a cliff. And Dawn, Edith's mother, dies of an illness next to Edith herself. These deaths, while tragic in their own right, do not carry the same level of shame that the others do, probably because each person was a lot older when they died, leaving the responsibility of their life to themselves, whereas the ones that change reality are the ones that hit the hardest, as a burden of guilt is placed upon them. Sometimes a death can be so tragic, and in grief, blame can be thrown around to whoever caused the person's death, and it can tear families apart. So while it is somewhat delusional, this idea of a family curse, perhaps this was the only way the families could remain so strong over these generations. Because if the curse is real, then it's not their fault. And if the curse is real, they never have to truly accept what really happened. As Edith, we comb through the house, remembering what we can from before we left as a child. the text floating across the screen as Edith's own thoughts, her own writings. The text itself is used brilliantly as the gateway between the memories and reality, and in a game about uncovering what is left behind, text is a crucial component. Our memories can be altered, we can forget and misremember things. With only Edith left in the Finch family, she couldn't possibly remember everything herself, but the text will. Writing it on the page keeps it alive so that even years later, generations later, as proven by Edith herself, the gaps in knowledge can be filled in by the writings. The history remains intact. And that's what this whole game is about. The way we keep our histories when so much of it is likely to be lost. Through various mediums, photographs, diary entries, letters, flipbooks, plaques, sealing the rooms, locking the basement, the graveyard that was built before the house. They are always there, so that even in death, the Finches will be remembered. A family tradition. One that Edith follows. That book at the beginning of the game is Edith's book, passed down to her son Christopher. And knowing Edith is pregnant while she explores the house gives the game so much more weight. Whether the curse was real or not, Edith has seen death countless times and understands the importance of having something to remember you by. So knowing that one day she will be dead, she writes to her future son. It's almost as if, in Edith's mind, she's thinking about her death before she thinks about the life she could have with her son, similar to the way the graveyard was built before the house. Sometimes the inevitable death is accepted before choosing to experience life for themselves. Edith does actually die in childbirth, tragically leaving Christopher all alone. And all he's left with is the words written in his mother's handwriting to tell him who she really was. Thank you for watching this video. I'm really glad I got to play this game. It was short and sweet and really not what I expected. Every story was unique in its own way, but not too difficult that it took away from the story the developers wanted to tell. Although there was a moment where I felt I had to lock in during Luce's memory, having to both slash fish heads whilst also manoeuvring a character. But what can I say? I'm a pretty fucking sick gamer. I mean, look at this. Again, I'm just better. I'm just so good at this game. I gotta play this game more. It was a much more different game to those I'm used to. A tragic story that I just get to experience. And I'm so glad I did. If there's any other games you'd like me to play, let me know in the comments below. Or anything I missed from this game. I appreciate all your guys' support. Thanks again. Bye.